Peace and blessings, family. What's up with all the daydreamers out there? Please live it. Don't sleep through this thing. I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to waste your time. 3 things that Apple needs to add to Final Cut Pro that's going to make it top dog for me. Let's talk about it. Let's get it. Let's make it happen. Number 1, the ability to save your settings when it comes to color grading and effects as presets. You are unable to do this right now. Here's the thing, that makes ease of workflow. For many of us, we do these type of talking head shots where the scene is going to look the same, the lighting isn't going to change, therefore the color grading isn't going to change or anything like that, right? And the thing about it is we want to be able to save it as a preset so that when we finish filming the next video and the next video and the next video, all we got to do is take that preset, drag it on top of the footage, and bada bing, bada boom, it's color graded. But right now with Final Cut Pro on the iPad, you're unable to save presets, let alone bring in LUTs. And now you have to sit there and meticulously change the dials on every single video that you create. Now, I tried to go into a previous video, copy the effects and the color grading from there, open up another project and see if I can paste it onto that. And you're unable to even do that. And what's crazy is LumaFusion, you're able to bring in your own personal LUTs, you're able to save presets, and you're able to copy your effects from another project onto another project. You need to catch up, Apple. Come on, catch up. This is a powerful app. Don't get me wrong. Beautiful app, very powerful. I was sold on it just knowing that I could write on the screen with the Apple Pencil. I ain't got to go into Procreate to create a whole screen recording and nothing like that, man. I can actually write it where I want to have it and actually make some effects to make it look like something. Man, I am there. Here, take this $5 a month, please. But if you want to be top dog, being able to save presets is a basic function of every video editing app. Let's move on to number 2. Now for number 2, I might need some help with this. It's probably user error. We'll chalk it up to that, but it might not be user error. The ability to use your own personal fonts. I haven't figured that out yet. I went to the Files Manager app. I typed in Final Cut Pro. It pulled up his folder. I opened up his folder. I dragged my fonts over into that folder, went back into Final Cut Pro, went to add a text on top of it. Then I went in there and actually looked at the thing where it says title, where you got to change it out and you got to type it in. I went to the part where it says select font, and then I couldn't find any of the fonts that I shifted over into that folder. Am I doing something wrong? Why is adding fonts to some of these things on the iPad such a difficult task? Now, here's the thing. For DaVinci Resolve, I had a pain trying to figure that out to the point where I just gave up. I mean, I literally gave up. Even watched the tutorial that showed how to do it, and they went through it meticulously step by step. I did all that, and it still didn't work, so I gave up. With Final Cut Pro, make it easy to add your own personal fonts into the program so you're not chained and balled and tethered to the fonts that they give you, because there's some creative ideas that I can't do through Final Cut Pro because of the fact that I can't use my own fonts. If it's user error, ladies and gentlemen, please tell me, show me, send me the link on how to add my own personal fonts into Final Cut Pro so I can take this off of the list. But until then, it's number 2, not being able to use your own personal fonts. Let's go ahead and get down to number 3. And number 3 for me is the Transpose button. There is no way that, let me explain it like this. If you have a 20-minute timeline and you're on the 18th minute of that timeline, there is no way with one button in the Transpose section that you can just press and go boop, and it goes automatically all the way to the beginning of the timeline. You have to either tap the back arrow 95,000 times, and everybody will say, well, just pinch in, which that's what I do. You got to pinch in and then drag the playhead all the way down to the beginning of the timeline. Vice versa if you wanted to go to the end. Add a button on both sides of the Transpose that allows you to go all the way automatically to the beginning and automatically to the end of your timeline. Again, the workflow is about efficient, effective ways of getting through the editing process in the fastest way possible. That's not aggravating. It's aggravating having to either hit the button multiple times to go back or pinch in so that you can collapse everything and then drag the playhead over, then pinch out again to get to seeing where you're working at in the timeline and what you want to do. Apple, please update that. Now, for some honorable mentions, let's get it. Now, this one isn't a big deal for me, but it's a huge deal in the overall scheme of people who work on a lot of different footage and projects, especially those who are work for hires, freelancers and stuff like that in this game. The inability to edit off of your footage while it's still on your external hard drive. You can upload into Final Cut Pro from the external hard drive. You can even transfer into your external hard drive, but you can't work directly from it. So you got to bring all your footage over onto the internal storage of the iPad. And here's the thing, it's going to make it's going to make a copy of it, which adds even more into your storage. So I'm thinking, moving forward, put all your footage on the external drive. Then plug in your external drive and then upload it from there so it's not making an unnecessary copy. It's all strictly right there within the program as one copy. Now, I'm probably wrong on that. If I am, please correct me down there in the comments. But that would be the only viable workaround, that if you have 200 gigabytes worth of footage that you need to edit, instead of dumping it all on the external and then uploading it into the program, upload it from your external drive. That would be the only viable workaround for that. Or Apple could just make it to where you can work from your external drive, period. Now, for me, the reason why it's not a big deal, I do very short videos. Once I get them uploaded, I back them up onto an external drive, and then I remove all the footage from my internal drive anyways. And I also remove the project, because I back the project up too, from my iPad or from the program anyways. So I continuously have freed up space going into the next project. But for some of us out here, we're working on multiple projects at one time, and we have to be able to have as much space to work with as possible as we get things done. And honorable mention number 2, last one, ladies and gentlemen, bins. I get it. Apple, you for Final Cut Pro, you have the ability to organize based on keywords, organize based on media type, and you just go there, you type it in, and all of the other stuff are selected and everything like that. But the ability to have bins to put all my footage in one folder, all my audio in another folder, all my tiles and effects in another folder, any B-roll footage and things of that nature in another folder. And I can just go there and get what I need from those specific bins instead of them all being in one convoluted area in space. Again, it makes for the organization of workflow a lot more effective and efficient for a lot of people. Go ahead and add them bins. Now, I'm going to try and use the way that Apple has it, but I hope they make bins in the future. But then again, for me, it's really not that big of a deal, depending on the type of project that I am working on and how much footage that I have. I don't work with a lot of footage, but there is a lot of people out there that work with tons of footage for one project, and they need to be able to have a better way of organizing it than just doing keywords and things of that nature. Sometimes seeing it in a bin is a whole lot better than actually typing it in, because it can get a little bit frustrating for some people using it the way Apple has it, wherein seeing it organized in specific bins, it kind of calms them down. It gives them the perspective that they're in more control over how they're organizing and using the footage throughout their workflow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, man, that is the 3 things plus 2 honorable mentions that Apple can do for Final Cut Pro to make it top dog. So if I was to rate my first impression use of Apple's Final Cut Pro on the iPad, would I give it a full cup of coffee? A half a cup of coffee? Or would I pour the whole cup out because it's just disgusting and no amount of cream or sugar gonna save it? It's a half a cup of coffee. It's not unusable. This is a really great program to work with. It is honestly ease of use, beautiful, powerful, great. Man, even the ability to write on it and not have to leave out to go to Procreate and screen record and all that other stuff, magnificent, man. I absolutely love it. But the basic things that are missing from it makes LumaFusion still be able to compete with you, if not pull ahead with you and actually be more closer to that full cup of coffee than Final Cut Pro is at this time. Let's keep it real. Final Cut Pro is still behind the curve on the iPad, that is. It's still behind the curve. Now, let me add this and then I'll end this video. I hope these features come to the iPad. And I hope that they're not being held away as a means by which to create a pipeline to get us to use the desktop version. I really hope that's not the case. Bring those features to this so that those of us in the growing community, we might be small, but we're growing, that really actually uses and pushes this iPad to its limits. And we operate solely on the iPad for video production, music production, photo editing. All of the content creation that we do is solely done on the iPad Pro, and we do it well with what is given to us. Don't hold it back simply because it's an iPad and you want to make sure that the desktop version continues to be the top dog, the big brother out of all the devices. Let us have our just due. Give us our dessert. Let us eat at the table of the greats. It's all right to let the iPad Pro shine the way that is built and designed to shine. Developers, and including you, Apple, as a developer also, stop treating the iPad like it's the redheaded stepchild of the bunch, like it's the child that goes up into the attic when company comes over, as if it's the little brother that gets the hand-me-down clothes that's already been worn, beaten, and tattered. Give it its just due. Let us sit at the table with the greats, because we make great content off of this thing every single day, working around what you don't give us in the effort to make it pop out and look like what you give the big dogs, man. Let us get our just due. Stop holding it back, ladies and gentlemen. Final Cut Pro can be top dog. It can actually stump out there with the big dogs on the iPad if Apple would let it off its leash. Much love and respect. Y'all be safe out there. Let me know in the comments section, what is the features on Final Cut Pro on the iPad that are missing that you would love to see on there? And ladies and gentlemen, and the feedback option, go to that feedback option. Give them your feedback. Let them know the truth. Let them know how you feel. Talk your talk. Walk your walk. Spit to them. Spit your bars. Give them a hot 16. Let them know how you feel. Much love and respect. This your boy Sleep. Peace.